There is a pond, hidden behind the old garden walls, not just forgotten by people, but forgotten by time itself, except for the koi who swim beneath its mirrored surface. It's a place where moments stretch like honey, and the world seems to hold its breath in anticipation. This pond isn't particularly big, or remarkably deep, but it is ancient, and it harbors a secret that only the koi have kept through generations. At its center lies a smooth, flat stone of impossible origin. And on that stone, etched like a dormant memory, is a spiral. The humans who occasionally visit think it's merely decoration, a relic from another era. Nothing more. But the koi? They know better. They've always known better. Kibou was the oldest. A quiet philosopher with scales like autumn twilight gold at the edges, rust across his back, and deep crimson that seemed to pulse with his thoughts. He didn't speak often, but when he did, even the lily pads seemed to lean in, thirsty for wisdom. Then came Haru, young, fast, impulsive. Always first to dart toward the surface when shadows passed overhead. He wore his youth like armor, his silver blue scales always catching light even in darkness. And Yume, gentle, observant, endlessly curious. Her pearl-white scales carried faint patterns like half-formed questions. She saw the world like a puzzle wrapped in poetry, always searching for meaning in the smallest ripples. Kibou had watched the spiral for years. For decades. Waiting. And this morning, something was undeniably different.
It's moving.
You say that every spring, old Finn. The sun hits it differently, that's all.
No, he's right. Look at how the water bends around it. Something's changed.
The spiral pulsed once. Then again, stronger. Not with sound but with feeling. Like a heartbeat remembered. Or the pull of a dream that refuses to fade upon waking. Kibou turned to them, grave in a way they hadn't seen in seasons.
It's waking up. The confluence is near.
But what now? You've never mentioned any confluence before.
The place between places. A current of all stories flowing together. Where koi can swim beyond time, if they're worthy. If they're ready.
Is it dangerous?
It can be. The currents there are unpredictable. But it's also beautiful beyond description. And it's calling us. All three of us, this time.
Haru flicked his tail, barely hiding the electric excitement coursing through him.
So what are we waiting for? An engraved invitation?
And with that, the three koi began circling the spiral in perfect synchrony. The water shimmered first beneath them, then around them, and then, impossibly, it swallowed them whole. They emerged into an ocean of impossible color. Floating spirals of living light drifted lazily in every direction. Koi from other worlds, other ponds, other stories swam between them, some with iridescent wings, some nearly translucent, some as massive and ancient as sea turtles with scales that told stories in shifting patterns. Above them, a swirling galaxy of water and sky melded together. Beneath them, depths that promised both wonder and warning.
This is beyond imagination. We're swimming through the stars themselves.
Welcome to the confluence. Every koi who's ever contemplated a spiral, who's ever sensed the pattern beneath reality, they pass through here. Some stay longer than others.
They drifted past coral spires carved with runes that seemed to change meaning when viewed from different angles. Past schools of koi singing in harmonic voices that sounded like silver chimes. Past whirlpools that opened briefly into other stories, worlds with floating islands, forests made of glass, moons that glowed with inner fire. Yume lingered near a spiral that pulsed softly with a warm, golden light.
This one feels inviting. Like it's waiting. Specifically for someone.
Some of them do. Not all spirals are random or universal. Some are meant for particular travelers. They resonate with your essence.
So what exactly do we do here? Just sightsee? Swim in circles for eternity?
But before Kibou could answer, the current shifted abruptly. Haru froze mid-glide, his eyes narrowing to silver slits.
Did you see that?
A shadow barely visible at first moved through a distant spiral. Its movements were wrong, slower than the others. Flickering. Discordant. Then it appeared again, closer now. A koi, but not quite. Its scales were cracked and flaking away like dead skin. Its fins torn and pulsing irregularly. It shimmered like static between channels. Its eyes cold and empty locked on Haru's. And then it vanished through a spiral the color of freshly spilled blood.
I'm going after it.
No, that path is corrupted. The spiral is unstable.
Haru, don't. We don't know what's on the other side.
But he was already gone, silver blue scales flashing as he vanished through the crimson spiral. Without hesitation, Kibou and Yume followed, spiraling downward into a darkness that felt alive. The vibrant colors around them faded to murky shadows. The confluence twisted like a beautiful dream, distorting into nightmare. They emerged into a realm where time didn't move correctly. Water flowed sideways, sometimes upward. Rocks blinked like eyes when you weren't looking directly at them. And the spirals here didn't hum with invitation, they screamed with hunger. Haru was there, circling the broken koi at a cautious distance.
It's trying to remember something. I think it's trapped here. Look how it keeps tracing the same pattern.
It's lost, Haru. It stayed too long in the wrong current. Now it doesn't remember what it is. Or was.
And if we stay too long, the same will happen. We'll forget who we are. Where home is.
The spiral they'd come through, their only way back, flickered ominously. Its light began to fade, pulsing erratically.
We go. Now. Or we don't go at all.
But we can't just leave it here to suffer alone.
That koi isn't truly here anymore. It's a shadow of itself. A warning for travelers like us. You tried to help. That shows your heart, your courage, but now we must survive. Or join it in forgetting.
They swam desperately for the spiral, fighting a current that seemed to pull them back. The broken koi turned its head one last time, something almost like recognition flickering in its empty eyes. And then it sank, vanishing into the dark beneath them. The spiral flared brilliantly and reality turned inside out once more. They were back. The stone was still, ordinary once more. The spiral, dim and seemingly inert. The sky, peaceful in its familiar blue. But none of them spoke for a long time. Finally, Haru whispered,
"That could have been me. If I'd gone alone."
It almost was. We almost lost you to curiosity.
But you came back. We all came back. That's what matters. And now we understand the risk. And the responsibility.
The days passed, becoming weeks. Haru didn't swim quite so recklessly anymore. Yume started sketching perfect spirals in the silty pond bottom with her tail. And Kibou just watched. Both the spiral and his companions. Sometimes the spiral pulsed. Barely. Like it was breathing in its sleep. Like it was remembering them. And each time, they wondered silently. Would they go again? Were they truly ready for what awaited? Was the next spiral meant specifically for one of them? They didn't know when the spiral would open again. But they knew this with absolute certainty: they were no longer just koi in a quiet garden pond. They were explorers of the impossible. Dreamers who had touched other realities. Survivors who had glimpsed the abyss and returned. And when the next story called to them through the spiral, they would be ready. It had been 47 days since the spiral last pulsed. Kibou floated near it every morning, watching, waiting, sometimes speaking to it in whispers too quiet for the others to hear. Yume had traced hundreds of tiny spirals into the soft mud near the lily pads, while Haru, once so boisterous, had grown contemplative, watchful. Ever since the confluence, everything had subtly transformed. The pond remained physically unchanged, yes. But they weren't the same. Couldn't be, after what they'd witnessed. And then on the 48th morning something entirely new arrived. He came from the eastern woods. Not from the spiral. Not from the sky or water. Just appeared between the trees and walked purposefully toward the pond, calm as an expected guest. Tall, two-legged, wrapped in a travel-stained coat the color of river clay that hung to his knees. His fur was primarily black with patches of golden brown, like firelight playing across obsidian. His ears stood alert despite his obvious weariness. And his eyes held a depth that spoke of countless spirals crossed, countless worlds witnessed. His name, though they couldn't yet know it, was Oscar Blac.
What manner of creature is that?
That's definitely not a koi. Or anything that belongs near our pond.
No, he's something else entirely. Something from elsewhere.
Oscar stood motionless at the pond's edge. He gazed down into the water. And for a disorienting moment, it seemed as though he saw beyond the surface every memory, every journey, every spiral they'd known reflected back at him with perfect clarity. Without ceremony, he knelt at the water's edge. He didn't splash. He didn't speak. He simply extended one weathered paw, and deliberately touched the surface with a single claw.
The spiral, it's answering him.
How could he possibly know about the spiral? Who sent him here?
Oscar slowly settled back on his heels, a look of confirmation crossing his features. And then finally he broke the silence. His voice was low, measured, slightly roughened, like someone who had spoken too many secrets to too many strange things that didn't always answer back.
So this is where it landed this time. Didn't expect it to take refuge in a pond. But then again, stranger things have happened.
Take refuge? You speak as if the spiral chose this place.
Not the stone itself, little one. The spiral essence. The wound between worlds. The map that forgot its destination but remembers its travelers.
You know what it truly is. What it represents.
I know some things about it. Like how the spiral doesn't just open doorways, sometimes, it leaks memories. Sometimes, it hungers.
Kibou rose slowly, hovering near the surface, his golden scales catching morning light.
What do you want with us, traveler?
Nothing. But something does want you.
Stop speaking in riddles. What exactly does that mean?
You three made it into the Confluence. More importantly, you made it back with your memories intact. That's exceedingly rare. The spiral has noticed you.
Oscar opened his coat for a moment, and tucked into an ornate leather strap on his belt was a strange walking staff of twisted wood. On its handle was carved the identical spiral pattern as the stone beneath them. Only older, more intricate, worn smooth by countless hands and endless journeys. Yume swam closer to the edge, eyes wide with recognition.
You're a traveler too. A navigator of spirals.
Something like that. A witness, mostly.
Why come to us now? After all this time?
Because the spiral is going to open again soon. But this time, it won't be a mere ripple or invitation.
The pond fell into unnatural silence. Even the birds halted their morning songs. The insects stilled. The breeze itself seemed to hold its breath. Oscar's amber eyes lowered to meet Kibou's directly. And for the first time, the old koi saw something alarming in them: recognition. Personal and specific. As if Oscar had seen him before. Had known him somewhere else. Through some other spiral, in some other time.
Next time it opens, you won't simply swim through. You'll have to choose. And choices have consequences across all worlds.
Then, just as suddenly as he arrived, Oscar rose to his full height. He turned toward the woods, but paused, casting one meaningful glance over his shoulder.
Oh, and if anything starts speaking to you in your dreams, don't answer it. Not yet. Not until you understand what currency it trades in.
Who or what was that being?
A warning personified, or perhaps a guide, or something the spiral itself has fashioned to test us.
Or all three at once.
And so, Oscar Blac vanished back into the eastern woods as mysteriously as he had appeared. And the spiral pulsed once more beneath the stone. Not a mere hum this time, but a deliberate heartbeat. A consciousness awakening. A choice forming. The koi swam in contemplative silence that day. But in their dreams that night something not of their world knocked gently against their consciousness. And it knew all their names.